Hello, as I am now a YouTuber, this is my tuber. Yes, we're going with this bit. This will be with me for the rest of the video. I recently learned the Welsh word hiraeth, which I am doubtless mispronouncing terribly. This word means roughly a sense of nostalgia or longing or homesickness even for a world that doesn't exist. This word jumped out to me because it is something that I have been experiencing and unable to name for my entire life. I will read a book, or watch a show, or play a game, and then I will spend the next several days legitimately upset that I cannot experience that world, or talk to its characters, or in some cases even just do something as simple as eat its food. And in this video, I'd like to talk about some of those worlds, and why I wish to spend time in them so much, even if that time would doubtless be, at best, unpleasant, and at worst, ruin my body and mind forever. We're gonna start with a light one. We're gonna start with Redwall, for those of you who don't know, is a series of books by Brian Jacques. I believe it's technically called The Chronicles of Mossflower, but the first one is Redwall, and it's my favorite, so that's what we're going to go with. Redwall is a series of books about little animals. The first one, and the one that I'm most familiar with, primarily follows an abbey full of basically Gregorian mice monks fending off an attack from a bunch of, like, highwayman rat raiders. It's very classic sort of medieval fantasy, just with animals. So why do I want to spend time here so much? The answer, as I sort of alluded to in the intro, is the food. Brian Jacques has brilliant descriptive skills. You really feel like you are there, among, this abbey, even though I have never been to a monastery or abbey of any kind. I feel like I am there. And even though I have never met a talking mouse, I feel like I know the characters. And this extends very much to the food. A passage from Redwall. Brother Alf remarked that Friar Hugo had excelled himself, as course after course was brought to the table. Tender freshwater shrimp garnished with cream and rose leaves, deviled barley pearls in an acorn puree, apple and carrot chews, marinated cabbage stalks steeped in creamed white turnip with nutmeg. A chorus of oohs and ahs greeted the arrival of 6 mice pushing a big trolley. It was the grayling. Wreaths of aromatic steam drifted around Cavern Hole. The fish had been baked to perfection. Tell me you're not hungry. Or at least tell me your mouth didn't water a little bit. I'm hungry. I had dinner a couple hours ago. I want to go eat more dinner. I want to eat that. Redwall is very, very descriptive, and you get a good idea of the characters just from what they wear and what they eat, and I want to be there, and I want to experience that despite the lack of everyday amenities that we take for granted, like running water in the Middle Ages. I'd be willing to put up with it for probably quite a while, just to live in that world for a little bit, with the outside perspective of my life. There are some worlds, however, that I do not want, that I want to live in against my better judgment, knowing that it would be very bad for me. Specifically, for anyone who has somehow gone their entire life without hearing about this book at the very least, 1984 is a novel by George Orwell. It takes place in the titular year 1984. It was written in the 40s, so it's, futuristic 1984, wherein a mega government called the Party has taken over everything. It's one of 3 superstates in the entire world. They have Big Brother, who controls everything. Have you ever heard Big Brother is always watching? That's this book. The book follows Winston Smith, who is just trying to eke out an existence and possibly resist a little bit amidst this, like, constant, terrible surveillance state. It does not end happily. Spoilers for the ending of the book. Winston is driven mad by the party and forsakes the love of his life, and then they let him go, knowing that they have won, and they have completely destroyed him. My ass would get arrested and tortured so fast in 1984. I would not last a day. I would not last 30 minutes. I would die. I would worse than die. It would not be good for me. This doesn't matter. I want to go there for approximately 30 seconds. No. I want to go there for approximately 30 minutes. And the reason for that is one specific character. And that character is O'Brien. For those of you who don't know him, O'Brien is a little shit. And I love him. I love him. You get the sense, reading the book, that O'Brien knows that he's doing bad. Like, he knows that what the party is doing is bad, and he knows that he's torturing people, and he still thinks he's helping them. And I find that fascinating. I would love to speak to him for just a little bit and pick his brain and get his perspective on the world, and then I would like to leave. Because after doing that, I would doubtless be arrested. This is a shorter segment. I just really wanted to bring up this book. It's my favorite book. I hate that I want to go there because it's a really bad world. It's one of the bleakest dystopias I've ever read. Now, if you didn't think that me discussing classic literature was nerdy enough, I'm now going to talk about tabletop games. If you know me, you know that once I start, I don't stop. I'm going to do my best to stop because I have other things to talk about as well. We're going to talk about Exandria, for probably the significantly more of you who don't know this time, is a world created by Matthew Mercer, the DM Critical Role, for his actual play, Critical Role. It is, in many aspects, a very classic high fantasy world, akin to Middle-earth or even Narnia. It's elves, dwarves, dragonborn, all that. It's very, very classic high fantasy. However, where Exandria falls is that it was made by someone whose work I follow very, very closely and have great respect for. And being able to experience the work of someone who has shaped so much of my art form and what, like, I run Dungeons and Dragons games. I've been doing that for near on 6 years at this point. And it's like so much of my style has been inspired by Exandria, and being able to spend a day there on any of the numerous continents that Matt created would be fascinating to me. And I wish that I could, every time I put on an episode of Critical Role, to go do something, while I am working on a writing project, while I am working on classwork, anything like that. There's eternally a moment where I go, man, I want to go there. I think that I would really like to see that. I just want to see it up close. Exandria is that for me. It is that, just like, I have such great respect for the person who wrote the world that I want to be in the world. Hey guys, if you know me, you know that this is a momentous occasion, because I've gotten through an entire video without talking about You knew it was coming. If you knew anything about me, you know that I love my Warhammer. And I love to talk at length about my Warhammer. And I love to describe things about my Warhammer. Warhammer is a tabletop war game. It is a... I guess I'm not going to stop talking about tabletop games. Warhammer is a tabletop war game. You get a bunch of extremely overpriced miniatures, and you paint them up, and you field them against your opponent's army of other extremely overpriced miniatures, and they fight. And it's a great time. Sometimes. The game itself is fine. It's a good time, I suppose. I enjoy playing it. But, oh boy, the world building. Just to give a concept, I started painting Warhammer models about 9 months ago. I started playing the tabletop about 4 months ago. I started learning about Warhammer 2 years ago. It took me a year and 3 months to even decide what I wanted to start with. Because this universe has existed since the 1980s, and it has been constantly retconned, and it has been constantly changed, and there is no canon anymore! Warhammer is vast. I have talked about it for going on 3 hours, monologue, non-stop, and I have not even scratched the surface. If I were to start at the beginning and give you a basic idea of the lore that led up to the status quo, for those of you that are familiar with the game, this would be the War in Heaven, the Fall of the Eldar, the Horus Heresy, and probably the Age of Apostasy and Fall of Cadia. That alone would take me probably an hour and a half, and with all of that, I wouldn't even scratch like the orcs, I wouldn't scratch the Tau, or the Tyranids, or Genestealer cults, or like any of the Space Marines or Imperium post-Heresy, other than like the Sisters of the Fall of Cadia, I suppose. I would barely scratch the surface of, the Eldar. I would not even talk about the entire other world within this world of the fantasy version. That's everything, again, but fantasy instead of sci-fi this time. I can't stress enough how much of this there is. And if you don't know Warhammer, the world is not fun. It's worse than 1984. Humanity in Warhammer is xenophobic and paranoid and zealous, and they sacrifice 1,000 people every day in a horrific ritual because the alternative is worse. And they're like kind of low to mid-tier evil. Your other options are like Cthulhu Satan and the bugs that eat planets and 3 other Cthulhu Satan. It's not fun. And I die. I die really fast. It probably wouldn't even be very ceremonious. I'd get shot in the head. Or, like, taken out back by an Inquisitor or something. But the texture. This is the stupidest reason to want to exist even briefly in a terrible, terrible, shitty world. I just want to touch a suit of Space Marine armor. I just want to know what it feels like when it's not like, plastic that's made for painting. I just want to touch a suit of ceramite. That's it. And it's insane because the world is already so detailed. This is exactly what I've been talking about with Redwall, where you know everything. I could look up what the texture of ceramite power armor is right now and get a 5-paragraph description, probably. But it doesn't matter, because I want to go there and I want to experience it for myself. Once again, no, I don't. There are elves that kidnap you and torture you for 20 years and then turn you into a chair while you are alive. I don't want to go there. It's not good. I really want to go there. I really want to talk to some of the characters. I really want to talk to them. They shoot me in the head immediately. I want to talk to them. Thank you for listening to me ramble. Oh, thank you for listening to me go off on tangents. This is the first of hopefully many videos. I made this one for a high school assignment, hence the utter lack of polish. The next one will probably be a significantly longer video on my favorite movie of all time and why it gets terribly vilified by the internet at large. I will see you all next time.